On a gray July morning in 1996, strangers found a dead man beaten and half-naked in a parking lot in Knoxville, Tennessee. Scattered around his body was German, Canadian, and American currency totaling nearly $4,000. The contents of the man's wallet identified him as 31-year-old Blair Adams of Surrey, British Columbia. Lieutenant Jimmy Jones was the chief of detectives for the Knox County Sheriff's Department. Jones stated this: "Every aspect of the case is mysterious. No one knows why Blair Adams left his home in British Columbia or how he ended up in Knoxville, Tennessee. It is possible he could have been running from a killer." Before his mysterious death, Blair was a foreman with a construction company in Surrey, British Columbia. Those who knew him say he liked his work and did it well. However, in the summer of 1996, Blair's cheery demeanor began to change. According to his mother, Sandra Edwards, Blair began having wild mood swings. She stated this: "Something was obviously very much the matter. He hadn't been sleeping well. Something was wrong with him." Blair's strange behavior came to a head on Friday, July 5, 1996. He withdrew his savings and emptied his safe deposit box of more than $6,000 in cash and thousands more in jewelry, gold, and platinum. It was the first stop on his dead-end run to Knoxville, Tennessee. The next stop was the Canadian-American border. On Sunday, Blair tried to enter the United States. But as an unmarried young man carrying a large amount of cash, Blair fit the profile of a drug trafficker. He was refused entry. The next day Blair showed up at his job. But he wasn't there to work. He asked his boss for his check then quit. Blair's erratic behavior continued. That afternoon, he spent $1,600 on a round-trip airline ticket to Frankfurt, Germany. His flight would leave the following day, just hours after buying the ticket. Blair was again desperate to get into the United States. He showed up at a friend's house in a panic, terrified that someone was trying to kill him. His friend was unable to get him over the border. Then on Tuesday, instead of leaving for Germany, Blair turned in his tickets, rented a car, and headed back to the border. This time, he managed to slip through. He ended up in Seattle, where, according to Lieutenant Jones, he bought a one-way ticket to Washington, D.C. Jones said this: "He paid $770 for a one-way ticket when he could have purchased a round-trip ticket for approximately $350 or $400. It just seemed unusual." Blair arrived in Washington early Wednesday morning and headed to Knoxville, more than 500 miles southwest. Perry Moyers, a detective for the Knox County Sheriff's Department, was one of the many perplexed investigators working on the case. Perry Moyers said this: "Why go to Washington to turn around and come back to Knoxville? He had no reason to be in East Tennessee. He had no reason to be in Knoxville. He knew no one in the United States." Blair was first seen at a gas station in Knoxville around 5:30 that afternoon. He complained to the gas station attendant that his car wouldn't start. The attendant told him he had the wrong keys. However, the rental car company was already closed for the day. Blair was stranded in Knoxville until the morning. Luckily he was able to hitch a ride to a nearby hotel. Tika Hartsfield, an employee at the hotel, said this about Blair: "The best way to describe him would be paranoid. He was very nervous, agitated, expecting someone to come in on him even though there wasn't anybody there. I don't know who he was looking for, but he was waiting for somebody to walk in for him." The hotel security cameras showed that in the space of an hour, Blair went in and out of the lobby 5 times before finally paying for the room. After checking in, Blair pocketed the key to his room. Instead of going to his room, he marched out the front door and never came back. It was 7:37 p.m., the last time Blair Adams was known to be alive. 12 hours later, Blair's body was found in a parking lot about a half-mile from his hotel. He was naked from the waist down. Lieutenant Jones recalled the scene as this: "His pants were removed in a way not like someone would take their own pants off, but in a way that someone else would remove your pants for you. His socks were turned inside out. His shoes were off and his shirt was torn. Scattered around Blair's body was 4,000 in American, Canadian, and German currency. A small pack held another 2,000 worth of gold and jewelry. According to the autopsy report, Blair had sustained many cuts and abrasions. Police believed some of the wounds came from fending off an attack. Blair was ultimately killed by a violent blow that ruptured his stomach. Although Blair thought his life was in danger, authorities believed the threat was imaginary, and that Blair's journey was an escape from his own delusions. Either way, Blair Adams wound up dead, just as he had feared.